Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din, back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga. The Black 2 and White 2 story arc, where previously Blake's investigation alongside Looker to capture the 7 sages and bring an end to those in Team Plasma has fully gone underway. They managed to bring in one of the 7 sages, and after a quiet tournament at the school, the gym leader Roxy takes them to Castelia City, with Hugh's sister secretly following. But after they and the class arrive, Roxy finds an injured man she was supposed to meet, but had his Pokemon stolen by those saying they are liberating Pokemon. Roxy takes off as a gym leader. She's obliged to help out. For Blake, this is part of his mission, as 2 of the 7 sages have been spotted in the area. Whitley, hearing the line about liberating Pokemon, goes to investigate, hoping to get clues to N. And Hugh, having a grudge against Team Plasma, also joins in the party as they descend into the Castelia City sewer. Meanwhile, Colress confronts Zinzalin in cold storage, looking for information about Kyurem, only to find that Zinzalin had long since captured Kyurem all the way back 2 years ago at the Pokemon League. Well, before the Pokemon League. Blake ultimately leaves the Team Plasma members that they run into up to the others, as he's determined to find the 7 sages. Hugh ends up overwhelmed and running off, only to come in contact with Looker. More specifically, Looker's Croagunk with a cross transceiver in its hat so Looker can communicate without being seen. Looker investigating what Hugh might know. Meanwhile, Roxy and Whitley end up battling against the Team Plasma members. And when the Team Plasma members end up callously discarding the Pokemon they so-called liberated, Whitley ends up with a few questions about their motivation and how they operate, questions she directs towards her mother. Things are heating up despite the presence of the icy dragon Kyurem. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, it's adventure number 13, Colress Machine. Who's that Pokemon? It's Kyurem, part 2. As Looker and his Croagunk make their way throughout the sewer, he hears something, turning saying, huh? And he spots Blake atop Genesect. Naturally, I already got one of my faves, and the camera froze. Gotta love when that happens. So we got Genesect here. Looker shouts, the inspector just rode by on a Genesect? He said he sent it to headquarters, but he's already mastered riding it. Focus. We need to get going. Our orders are to transport Bronius and Ryoku. Blake continues on, Caldeo following. Blake looks around saying, I can't believe how cold it is here. The relic passage is freezing up as we speak, which means that somewhere at the end of this passage is the Pokemon who is causing this chilling effect. And that Pokemon is enter Zinzalin, commanding Kyurem to use Glaciate. Kyurem unleashes a blast of cold air, while Colress commands his Klinklang to use automatize. Colress ascends upward on Klinklang, but even just catching a little bit of Kyurem's icy breath starts to freeze Klinklang. Colress says that certainly is impressive. Klinklang used automatize to speed up, but you still managed to strike it with your attack. However, it didn't get completely frozen because I used Wonder Room beforehand to raise its special defense. Okay. Colress is zooming around the area on top of Klinklang, around Zinzalin and Kyurem. Colress says, speaking of freezing cold air, Zinzalin says, what do you think? Colress says, you want me to give you a performance evaluation? Alright, here goes. 100 out of 100 for the Pokemon, and 0 for the trainer. Zinzalin has Kyurem lash out, striking towards Colress. Zinzalin questioning, you dare mock me even now? Colress says, my assessment surprises you? You're using a legendary Pokemon with incredible power, but both Klinklang and I are still alive and kicking, Colress says as he adjusts his coat. That can only be due to the incompetence of the trainer. Zinzalin grows angry, saying, that's not true. I spent 2 years working with. But Colress questions, 2 years, and this is the best you can do? I can achieve the same effect in 2 seconds with my Colress machine, he says, reaching into his coat and pulling out his Colress machine. Flicking the switch, a signal is sent out to Hiram. Oh, but Zinzalin smiles, saying, now, as icy chains shoot out, wrapping themselves around Colress's neck and wrists. Of course, a triagonal. Triagonal lifts Colress up into the air. Colress saying, oops, my mistake. It concealed itself by transforming into vapor, didn't it? Colress sticks out his tongue, saying, you were just waiting for me to pull out my machine, weren't you? You're so stupid, I let my guard down. Well, dang. But Zinzalin cheers, saying, cool, Triagonal, throw the machine to me. Triagonal forces Colress's hand, throwing down the Colress machine towards Zinzalin. Zinzalin laughs as he reaches out for it, but something shoots his hand. Zinzalin looks up as Colress says, you've forgotten my BEM, and I thought things we're finally about to get interesting. Sigh. Zinzalin, you just told me Kirim doesn't align itself with either ideals or truth, which means that it must comprise both within itself. After seeing it with my own eyes, I realize that your conclusion is correct. I was sick and tired of your inferiority complex, so I prevented you from speaking. But just as you wish to fill the bottomless hole in your insecurities, Kirim, too, longs to fill its inner emptiness with something. No, that's not it exactly. Does not align with, does not belong to, does not include. Oh, aha! I see, I get it now. Your ultimate goal is to have Kirim fuse with Zekrom and Reshiram. Am I right? Zinzalin doesn't respond, though he is obviously visibly shaken. Colress questions, well, did I guess correctly? If so, I think it's about time you return my Colress machine to me. Oh, suddenly something looms behind Zinzalin. Oh god, when BEM attacked, it shot right through Zinzalin's hand. Jesus. Okay. Blake arrives somewhere? I don't know where this is. He comes to the outside of a large stadium. As he says, Driftville City, Pokemon World Tournament construction site. Where is this bitter chill coming from? He then hears a large, loud sound from one of the nearby storage houses. He tosses 2 Pokeballs, saying, come out, Kabutot, Glysshot, as he brings out a Kabutot and a Gliscor. They got another of my favorites from the previous generation, Gliscor. Oh, okay. As Blake sneaks and peeks around the corner of one of the warehouses, he sees 2 of the Weather Trio looming over Zinzalin. Blake thinks, Thundurus, Landorus, 7th Sage Zinzalin. Oh, suddenly the 2 legendaries glare towards Blake. Blake thinks, it noticed me. And suddenly, oh, they transform into their Therian form, Blake thinks. Yeah, those forms still kind of weird me out. Blake thinks, as with Tornadus, someone has used the reveal glass on them to change their forms. Suddenly a voice calls out to Blake. So it's you. Colress calls out in the reflection of the reveal glass. Colress says, Inspector Blake. Oh, back in the sewer, a bit away from where Roxy is, I guess, camping out. I can't really tell what Roxy is doing back there. Or I guess she's tending to the Pokemon that were stolen. Whitley is on the cross transceiver with her mom, saying, oh, Mom, there's something I need to ask you. And her mom says, you met the people in black uniforms, haven't you? I wonder if the mom has a name. No, it doesn't seem specifically. Whitley questions, you know about them? Her mother says, uh-huh. Whitley then asks, what are they? Members of some kind of team? They've liberated a bunch of Pokemon, but they aren't taking care of them. They abandoned and hurt them. Who are these people? I feel sorry for these Pokemon. If Hen sees what's going on, he would... Roxy overhears some of this, saying, what is she going on about? But as Roxy tries to get closer, Fungus shoots some of its spores towards her. Roxy saying, sorry, I'll stop eavesdropping. Well, Whitley says, a group that opposed Zen. Her mother says, that's right, a team who wanted to use the power of the Pokemon they liberated to feed their greed. When N left, they chose a scientist named Colress as their new leader. Colress was developing a machine to draw out the full power of Pokemon and control them like puppets. They call it the Colress machine. They picked Colress as their leader because they wanted to get their hands on his machine. Those of us who sided with N realized what was happening and began to research a method to neutralize the effects of the Colress machine. We saved our results on a memory card and hid it inside a locket. Whitley questions, "What? You mean?" Her mother says, "That's right. The locket put in your care until N's return." Whitley says, "The locket I was asked to safeguard?" Her mother says, "If their grunts have started to make a move, it might mean that the Colress machine has been completed. Listen, Whitley, you can't afford to wait for N's return any longer. You have to go and see Rude and Gorham of the Seven Sages and hand the locket over to them immediately." Whitley says, "But Mom, I don't..." Her mom interrupts saying, oh, of course. You don't know where they are, do you? I'll ask around and get back to you as soon as I find their whereabouts. And then you can..." Whitley says, "No, it's not that. Mom, the truth is..." Her mom says, "You lost it?" Whitley says, "I'm sorry, Mom." Her mom says, "Oh, Whitley, all I can say is that it's crucial that you find that locket." I mean, I know y'all made it seem precious to her, but I feel like if you had explained to her how important it was, she would have made a lot harder and a lot surer that she didn't lose sight of it. Her mother says, "All I can say is that it's crucial for you to find that locket. N's dream, our dream. We have to stop the Colress machine in time to make the world a place where all Pokemon can live together in safety and peace." Whitley says, "Yes, Mother. I'll find that locker no matter what. That's my job now," he says as she hangs up, determination in her eyes. Okay, now Whitley's on her own mission. Oh, actual information on Leo. I wasn't actually expecting this. Usually we only really get this on specific characters. I guess this makes sense. Wait, he's 11 right now? So he was only 9 when he... Dang. He was even earlier than most people when it comes to being a Pokemon trainer. I mean, that's some pretty impressive skill. He got a lot further than most other characters in this series. Alright, next is Adventure 14, Therian Form 3. Alright, and who's that Pokemon? Thundurus. Therian Form. We pick back up in Castelia City at the Prime Pier. Sharon and several other students approach Yuki and the other girls. Sharon questioning, "Is everyone here?" Yuki says, "Oh, Mr. Sharon, something awful has happened." But a distance away, Whitley watches, swallowing hard, thinking to herself, "Where's my locket? I know I had it on when I changed back out of my Fungus Girl outfit at Pokestar Studios. I must have lost it after that. It wasn't in the lost and found at school. Maybe someone found it but hasn't turned it in yet." Suddenly, Roxy pokes her head in, saying, "What are you doing? Aren't you going?" Whitley is startled and stammers over her words. Roxy questions, "Why can't you go?" "I have to chaperone the other students. Plus, I've got to return this Carablast to a committee member. I have to get going now. I'll cover with you with your teacher," he says, waving off Whitley. Whitley says, "I'm sorry." As Roxy makes her way over, he calls out to Sharon. Sharon says, "Roxy, what happened? I heard someone on the committee was attacked and injured." Suddenly someone shouts, "Team Plasma did it." Oh, it's Hugh. And he looks pissed, appearing right behind Sharon and Roxy. Sharon is aghast, questioning, "Team Plasma?" Hugh says, "Yeah, it seems they're active again. They stole other people's Pokemon using their so-called liberation rhetoric. This is no time to be singing and sightseeing. Who knows when you might get attacked too." Yuki says, "Stop it, Hugh. Don't scare everyone like that." Maya says, "She's right. Leave Team Plasma to the police and the gym leaders." Yuko says, "Don't ruin our school trip with your worrying." But Hugh says, "Don't you have any common sense? How dense can you be? Or are you trying to lure me off the trail of Team Plasma?" While he is aghast at Hugh's disposition, Yuki says, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Yuko whispers over to Maya, saying, "Has he lost his mind?" But Hugh tells him, "I won't keep quiet anymore. I know that someone in this class, a girl actually, is a member of Team Plasma." Whitley is shocked. Sharon grabs him, saying, "What are you talking about, Hugh?" Hugh says, "It's true, Mr. Sharon. One of us is a Team Plasma member." Maya says, "I can't believe you, Hugh." Yuki says, "We're sick of your wild theories." Yuko says, "Get out of this class. No, this school." Hugh says, "Fine. You don't need to tell me twice because I'm leaving anyway." Yuki says, "What?" Sharon calls out to Hugh, but Hugh says, "I'm sorry, Mr. Sharon. I enrolled in this school to get more powerful so I could beat Team Plasma. There were times when I thought to myself, Team Plasma disappeared 2 years ago. Maybe this is all pointless. but it turns out Team Plasma is still around. And I can't just sit back and do nothing now that I've run into them again. I'm gonna quit school and go after them. Chern reaches out, saying, calm down for a second, please. And what's all this about Team Plasma being one of your female classmates? Yuki questions, yeah, where's your proof? He says, proof? The proof is this. He shows off the pendant with a picture of N inside. Both Chirin and Whitley are shocked. He shouts, listen up, Team Plasma girl. I've been trying to find you, but I don't care anymore. I don't know what you're doing at the traitor school, but I don't care about that either. But don't forget, I have this. Whitley begins to panic. Her legs begin to shake. She thinks to herself, what should I do? That's my locket. What should I do? What should I do? The class begins to whisper amongst themselves, saying, is it true? Who is it? Maya says, hey, Whitty's not here. Yuki says, what? Whitley continues to be frozen as Hugh goes off saying, see, goodbye. But Whitley pops out, saying, wait. Maya says, Whitty. Yuko questions, where were you? The rest of the class starts to say, was she hiding? She stopped Hugh. Why? Could it be? Chern begins to question Whitley. Are you? While Hugh's gaze is intense. Whitley continues to spiral in panic, and then all of a sudden Fungus unleashes a bunch of spores on the spot, putting everyone to sleep. Everyone but Hugh. Oh, I gotta tell you, this is a really intense moment. Whitley can't look Hugh in the eyes, but he continues staring her down, saying, so it was you. Oof. Oh, man. Oof. I mean, it had to happen at some point, but man. Okay, we pick up with Kabutops fighting against Thunderous, I think. While Gliscor fights against Landorus. Colress, riding atop Klinklang above Blake, says, you must have come through the Relic Passage. Did you arrest Bronius and Ryoko in the spot where they were blocking the sewer? They claim they're sages, but they aren't even capable of a simple task like creating a diversion to distract the opposition. However, they did manage to buy me enough time to question Zinzalin, so I guess they did their job, even though they're a couple of has-been old geezers. Okay, the mom wants Whitley to hand over the pendant to Rude and Gorm, but are they not under... Does she not know they're under the command of Colress as well? Or did they split off? Oh, without a word, Blake shoots out his handcuffs towards Zinzalin. Colress says, oops, I can't let you have Zinzalin yet. And Colress has BM move Zinzalin out of the way with telepathy towards Colress. Colress says, he himself is of no value, but his knowledge of Kyurem's fusion makes him worthy of the title of Sage. That makes him useful to me. For the moment, Duwatch tosses two of its scallops towards Colress, but, Tornadus? Yeah, Tornadus, in its Therian form, blocks the attack, with the scallops coming right back to Duwatch. Colress says to Tornadus, good luck with your revenge match, and has him use Air Slash, with Blake dodging out of the way. But, he then jumps onto Keldeo. Blake calls out, Duwatch, Lysot, Kabutot. Oh, that's how he decided to name his Pokemon? Wait, but the only one he didn't change the name of was Duot. That raises a lot of questions about his decision to nickname him like that. Is it just because he liked Duot so much? And what made him choose these Pokemon? Alright, he says Duot, Gliscor, Kabutot, defeat those three Pokemon. Kellott, arrest Zinzalin. Okay, and so Keldeo and Blake chase after Colress, taking off on his Klinklang while BM is ahead with Zinzalin. Colress says, I used the reveal glass to turn them back into their Therian form, but now you're having your Pokemon take care of them? You sure are dutiful. How about you deal with this first, though? Colress presses the button on his machine, and suddenly, like the Kool-Aid Man, out pops Kyurem from below, much to Blake's surprise. Colress says, go, Kyurem. Welcome, Inspector Blake, and... But suddenly someone calls out, that's enough, my friend. Colress pouts, saying, oh, you've arrived. Oh, it's a boat? The voice saying, I wouldn't want you to forget our main objective. Didn't I ask you to recover Kyurem and Zinzalin? Yep, it's gotta be Getsus. Blake questions, a sailboat? The figure on the boat says, I don't believe we've met, International Police Inspector Blake. And looming on top of the ship, Getsis, Blake says. Getsis says, I hear it's your duty to arrest us, the 7 Sages of Team Plasma. Unfortunately, I have a dream to fulfill, and to accomplish that dream, I cannot permit myself to be arrested by you. Cora says, my friend. Oh, no, Getsis continues on saying, my friend, please show Kurum to its room, and have it wield its true power. Cora says, will do. He uses his Colress machine again, and Kurum flies over the boat. Oh, onto a special container on it that seals it inside. See, it's very much like, I am utterly blanking on the name of the one dude. Charon. See, I kept wanting to call him Sharon, but it's Charon. Okay, that's what kept throwing me off, because I'm just like, is his name Charon? No, why am I thinking of Charon? It's just like, because the names are so similar, that's why. That's what's throwing me off. It's utterly just confounding me with the name. But as Kurum is locked away, Getsis says, ta-ta, Inspector Blake. I gotta say, as lame as I normally think the outfit looks, especially in terms of how it looks in the game, when I actually get a better look at it, the outfit kind of slaps. Because I never get to see more of just his arm poking out in most depiction. But now that I can actually see a little bit more of the outfit, it's just like, you know what? This outfit kind of looks cool. Because it looks like he's wearing a suit underneath. Blake and Keldeo try to lunge forward, saying, Getsis, you're under arrest. But Getsis smiles, saying, think again. Oh, the Shadow Triad, finally in their better look, comes leaping out. I mean, they grew their hair out over the 2 years, understandable, but they leap in the way, saying, we, the Shadow Triad, will take care of the rest. Oh, but Keldeo remembers, as he says, the Shadow? Oh, and he immediately brings out his sword, saying, I shall avenge my mentors. And he slashes at the Triad. Blake says, Keldon, what are you doing? Calm down. Meanwhile, inside, the Team Plasma members are analyzing Kurum? Or is it powering something? The members of Team Plasma say, energy enhancement system ready. Cora says, you heard them. We need to get going. Getsa says, very well. Both he and Cora say, time for the Team Plasma mothership, the Plasma frigate, to lift off. And it starts to rise. Oh, there's sky pirates. Oh, okay. I think I remember seeing this in a Black 2 and White 2 trailer. The flying airship. That's cool. Oh, freaking sky pirates. They do kind of look like sky pirates. Now I actually look at the outfits. That's cool. As the plasma frigate rises out of the water, Blake is shocked. Oh, and now information on Hugh. 12 years old. Okay, cool. Alright, next is Adventure 15, Frozen World. Who's that Pokemon? Landorus, Therian form. And so we pick up with the Shadow Triad fleeing from the attack from Keldeo's water hooves as Thundurus, Landorus, and Tornadus deal with Blake's other Pokemon, all while the Plasma Frigate takes off. Blake says, the ship is departing. Keldon, forget those 3. We're going after the ship. And then says it won't listen to me. He brings out his variable rope, grappling onto the ship itself, leaping off of Keldeo and recalling it, saying, come back, Keldon. He then lands on top of the frigate. Chorus then calls out, saying, hello? Oh, it's you, Shadow Triad. What's wrong? Inspector Blake has disappeared. What about his Pokemon? All of them except Keldeo are still fighting. Could it be that Blake sneaked aboard the Plasma Frigate? A grunt says, do you want us to search for him? Chorus says, let's pretend we haven't noticed. I know what he wants anyway. He winks at her. As Blake sneaks around, he thinks to himself, I don't see any guards. Have they not detected me yet, or are they deliberately letting me move around freely? Either way, this is a great opportunity to arrest Getsis and Zinzalin. I have to be cautious, though. Keldeo continues to tug around in his pocket in the Pokeball. Blake pulls it out, saying, calm down, Keldon. Those 3 in the black uniforms, are they the ones who got rid of your friends? And they say you want to get revenge, but our duty comes first. Promise I'll help you as soon as we've arrested those 2 Seven Sages. Come on, let's search the ship. Meanwhile, back on the ground, Hugh continues to stare down Whitley. He can only gaze at the ground. Hugh once again brings out the pendant, saying, "Say something, transfer student. You're the one who dropped this locket, aren't you? Admit it. You're a criminal." Whitley is shocked. She looks away, tears filling her eyes. But she finally manages to get out. "Please, give my locket back to me." He presents it, saying, "Sure, you can have it." Whitley says, "Really?" But he tells her, "After you take me to Team Plasma's headquarters, and to the purloin you stole from my sister." Whitley says, "Headquarters? Purloin? I don't know where they are." He tells her, "Don't lie to me. The memory card inside the locket. There's a list of liberated Pokemon on it. It said the very first Pokemon that Team Plasma kidnapped was my sister's Purloin. You're in Team Plasma, so you must know where the kidnapped Pokemon are kept," he says, grabbing her wrists. He says, "Tell me now." And as Whitley shrieks, Fungus does what it does best and sends out spores. Oh, but Hugh has his Vibrava use Sandstorm, knocking back Fungus. Hugh tells her, "You think you can make me fall asleep so you can steal your locket back? You Team Plasma grunts are so crooked. Is this how you steal all those people's Pokemon?" Whitley says, "We didn't steal them. We liberated them for the good of the Pokemon." But Hugh tugs on her, saying, "Stop sugarcoating your crimes." Whitley says, "I mean it. I lived in a house with Team Plasma members who took care of the Pokemon we liberated until they were well enough to be returned to the wild. All those Pokemon had been mistreated by humans. They were too hurt and scared to survive on their own. My mother used to work at a Pokemon daycare, and she took care of a lot of Pokemon like that there. In order to save more Pokemon, she joined Team Plasma with the daycare couple and a family who used to be Pokemon breeders and a man who used to be an ace trainer. There was also a woman who once worked at the Pokemon Center. All of us had the same goal, to help Pokemon. But then I found out there were some members of Team Plasma who were like the people we fought in the sewer today. So what she said isn't entirely true. I'm so sorry." Hugh tells her, "Take me to the place where you used to live with the other Team Plasma members." But Whitley tells him, "We moved out 2 years ago. There's no one left there anymore. Never saw a Purloin there." But Hugh pulls her along, saying, "Just take me there." But a crowd of people is blocking the way that he was taking Whitley. People saying, "What's that? Wow. Are they filming a new movie at Pokestar Studios? Oh, it's coming this way." And as Hugh and Whitley turn, they see the plasma frigate overhead. Oh, geez. A cannon pops out, aimed towards the city. And as it fires, Hugh pushes Whitley down the stairs out of the way. Oh my God. Holy crap. Yeah, I completely forgot that this happens. Oh my. Okay, so this is just out and out terrorism. Okay, yeah, this is, yeah, no, this is terrorism. Chorus should be in jail. Oh, as Whitley recovers, she goes over to Hugh, who's still on the ground, who seems to be in pain. She asks, "Are you all right?" He groans, but Whitley sneezes, and then she looks to the city and the people who were there, all frozen. She shrieks, falling back in shock. Suddenly a voice calls out, "Whitley!" She says, "Sage Rude, what are you doing here?" Rude says, "Your mother contacted me." The grunts with Rude say, "The 7 sages are being arrested one by the international police. We told him he shouldn't come out where people might see him, but..." Rude says, "Can't be helped. We need to do what we need to do, but I can't let them arrest me just yet. Not until after we've stopped the Chorus machine." Okay, so he's against it. Oh, okay. Although it appears we are too late for that. Whitley questions this. As Rude says, "Whitley, that's the Plasma Frigate, the mothership of the new Team Plasma who oppose Ed. They must have used the Chorus machine to control the legendary Ice and Dragon-type Pokemon Kyurem to flight. Whitley, I hear you've lost the locket." Whitley says, "Yes, but this boy found it." Rude says, "I see. You had better hurry up and retrieve the memory card." The grunts say, "Sage Rude, it isn't here." Rude says, "What?" The other grunt says, "The locket is empty. It's not in his pocket or his bag either." Whitley says, "He said he saw a list recorded on the memory card. Maybe he left it somewhere at school or in his dorm." Rude says, "The trainer school. Very well, we had better head for Asperatia right away." Whitley says, "Wait a minute. Sage Rude, I can't leave my classmates in danger like this. And if we were to disappear now..." Rude says, "You stay behind and take care of the other children." He says to the grunts. They say, "Yes, sir." He then says, "I've brought a Pokemon for you, Whitley. Both of you are eagerly awaiting En's return. I'm sure this Pokemon will be of help to you. This is En's Zoroark." Oh, okay. It's the Zoroa from all that time ago. Does it end up being part of her team, or is it more of just a temporary thing? Whitley starts to blush, saying, ends? Rude says, hold its paw and stare into its eyes. Whitley does just that, and Zora transforms into an exact copy of her. Whitley shrieks, and Zoroa laughs as it mimics her. Rude says, it cannot speak, but the other students won't notice you've gone missing for a little while at least. I'm counting on you, Zora. Meanwhile, back in the ship, Cora says, woofie, the power of the Q-Room cannon is amazing. Now then, what should I freeze next? Suddenly, a voice comes over the comm saying, my friend. Cora sulks, saying, what is it, Getsis? Getsis says, I have found some pests. Trainers who not only lost their nerve and abandoned my plans to achieve my dream, but also attempted to create a group to stop me. Cora says, oh yes, Rude and Gorm of the Seven Sages, wasn't it? Okay, so they broke away specifically. Interesting. Chorus brings them up on the monitor saying, look, it's Rude. Would you like me to freeze him? Yessa says, no. Please capture him instead. It would behoove us to find out what he's up to and why he showed up here now. Chorus says, huh? But he could foil our plans if we keep him around. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. They send out a mandibuzz, and it goes for Rude. Fungus notices and gets Whitley's attention. Whitley sees it and pushes him out of the way, saying, look out, Sage Rude. And so she's swept up by the mandibuzz. Rude calls out, Whitley, while Whitley calls back, Sage Rude, run, run. Chorus flies back in his chair, saying, see, it failed. And Rude has disappeared as well. What did I tell you? Grunt says, Master Chorus, what should we do with the girl we've captured? Chorus says, why don't you lock her up in one of the empty cabins? Meanwhile, Blake is looking at the scene of the frozen city on a monitor in some area of the ship. He thinks to himself, not only does it fly, it has the power to instantaneously freeze an entire city. I assume they're converting and enhancing Kieran's power as their energy source. In that case, the priority is to free Kieran from the control of the Chorus machine. But suddenly he hears someone crying out, ouch, ouch! A plasma grunt tells Whitley, be quiet. These are Master Chorus's orders. Lock her in a cabin, he says to another grunt. The grunt says, okay, boss. Blake thinks to himself, what is she doing here? We then cut to Whitley locked inside of a cabin as the door slams shut and it's locked. Whitley thinks to herself, what do I do now? What's going to happen to me? And Blake thinks to himself, hey, as he jumps over and heads for the room where Whitley was locked in. Okay, I wasn't sure if maybe the word balloons were wrong, but I think he's faking it as he shouts, hey, let go of me, stop it! He opens the door and pretends to be flung in. He pulls the door shut with a string he wrapped around the door, and as he gets up, he says, Whitley. Whitley says, you? Blake questions, you got captured too, are you alright? Whitley stammers saying, Blake says, where are Roxy and Hugh? Whitley says, they both returned to Prime Pier. Blake questions, they did? So you're the only one who's been captured? How come? Whitley says, what? Well, Blake questions, I got caught in the sewers. And where were you caught, Whitley? Whitley says, Whitley thinks to herself, what's his problem? Why is he asking me for all these details? Oh, and then she realizes, thinking, Sage Rude said, the international police are arresting the Seven Sages. Is it possible? Could he be? That would mean everything up till now. All those things were just to find out if I was a member of Team Plasma? Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, it's such an intrusive betrayal of, like, to just know someone was just using you like that. Blake gets up, holding out his hand, questioning, are you trembling, Whitley? Don't be scared. Get out of the ship together. Whitley says, no. What I'm scared of is you. Blake continues to smile, and after a brief pause, he says, why'd you say a thing like that? Whitley, her eyes filling with tears, says, you're with the international police, aren't you? You're here to arrest me. Blake questions, why would you think a thing like that? Have you done something wrong that would make the police want to arrest you, Whitley? Whitley tells him, I haven't, but everyone thinks I'm a criminal or something. But I haven't done anything wrong. She then thinks to herself, Blake then smiles and says, bingo, handcuffing Whitley. Blake tells her, sorry, I just don't want you to fight back or escape, that's all. Whitley is aghast, saying, So you really are and with a dead serious look in his eyes, no smile, Blake tells her, codename Blake number 2. I thought it was Black number 2. I'm an international police inspector. And there it is. We've dropped all pretenses. But I'm glad he's just not being fake terror anymore. It felt icky the way he was doing things. I get it. It's for the greater good and all that, but doesn't mean I have to like it. Okay. An actual readout on Looker. Interesting. It's amazing how many things we know nothing about when it comes to him. Alright, and the last chapter of this video and this volume is adventure number 16. Flying Ship. Who's that Pokemon? Mandibuzz. Whitley backs into the corner, now handcuffed to Blake, as she questions, Blake number 2? International Police? I haven't done anything wrong. Please take these handcuffs off of me. But Blake tells her, please calm down. I have no interest I have no intention of arresting you, but there is something I have to take care of as quickly as possible. I need your cooperation. Whitley questions, cooperation? Blake says, right. That's why I can't afford to let you escape or take any risks. It's just an emergency precaution. Once everything is settled, I promise to remove the handcuffs and free you. Whitley pauses and then asks, Since when have you suspected me of being a member of Team Plasma? Blake tells her, from the day you transferred to the school. Oof. You see this bitter look on Whitley's face. She hugs her fungus, saying, so it was because you wanted to investigate me that you were always talking to me and helping me fit into our class? She then thinks, and the reason you remember my birthday, gave me presents was, Blake says, that's right. Fungus grows angry, lunging at Blake, but Whitley grabs it and squeezes it to her chest, saying, okay, so how exactly do you want me to cooperate with you? Oof, that. And that's the thing. It's so wild because Blake's role is kind of like the NPC you would have in the Black 2 and White 2 game. Whereas with the adaptation of Black and White, White was kind of the NPC character, but she was much more friendly. And she was all about the battle subway, where she grew and trained and got better. But for Blake, he's more like an NPC. He's just there for the battle. His responses are cold. He's just there to do his job and go about his business. And oof. Blake tells her, I'll be honest, I have 2 missions to fulfill. First, to arrest the 7 sages of Team Plasma. Second, to find a 12-year-old female former Team Plasma member and retrieve the memory card in her possession. Whitley thinks a bit, and Blake says, did you see the skyscrapers of Gacelia City getting frozen solid in a single instant? Whitley nods. Blake tells her, they're using the power of Kyurem, a legendary Pokemon imprisoned inside this ship. Scientist named Chorus, the new leader of Team Plasma, is controlling it. Kyurem isn't working for him willingly. Chorus has forced it into servitude. Whitley questions the Chorus machine. Blake questions, you know about it? Whitley explains, the data with the information on how to neutralize the Chorus machine is inside the memory card. But I don't have it. Blake questions, what? Whitley says, I don't have it with me here. Blake thinks to himself, he doesn't appear to be lying, but he then asks, where is it then? Whitley questions, what are you going to do to help the Pokemon who's being controlled? Blake is given pause, and then says, Chorus is using Kyurem's power to sow chaos in the region. We don't do something about it. You might wreak even more damage elsewhere. My priority is to neutralize the Chorus machine, but I think I have to free Kyurem from his control first to do it. Whitley says, alright then, I'll help you help Kyurem. After that, I'll take you to where the memory card is. Blake questions, you're not putting me on, are you? But Whitley tells her, if it will save Pokemon and people from getting hurt by the Chorus machine, I'll help you. Man, I miss Black and White. I get it. It's the way it has to be. It's the way it was always going to be. But man, just the detachment immediately there. Just 2 people doing a job. Nothing more. Just, man, I miss the relationship Black and White had developing. I need Black in this story, man. I need Black to come in with White and just be Whitley's friends. I get it. I shouldn't be this hard, but I need Blake to just go away after all of this. Just, man, I don't know what it is. Just the detachment he has from any sort of feeling. And God, I would have even preferred Looker in this role too. At least he would have empathized a little bit. Like, I think back to Looker and the time he spent with Platinum and how they bonded and grew close and just the faith they kind of had in each other over a short period of time. Just that was so endearing. Even though I made all the jokes about grown man and little girl, but their relationship really did blossom into something really beautiful. And I get it. It's to make sure we have different relationships and different interactions. Not every protagonist can be exactly the same, but just I don't know. I think maybe I would think this protagonist, I would think Blake is cool when I was younger, just because he's all business. But to not even have any kind of emotion, you do see emotions on his face from time to time, and he's shocked, he's surprised. He does seem to have a good sense of honor and all that, but it's just like he doesn't read the other intricacies of the situation. I guess it's just the fact that he's playing so many genuine good people with his act, and to know that, from what I've been told, at the end of the day, he has no real feelings towards any of them. Shoot, he just kind of left everybody else to just fend for themselves. And it's just like, I got a job to do. Hopefully they can make it through. Just no feelings about whether they get hurt or not. As Blake and Whitley make their way down the corridors of the ship, Blake says, I searched the ship before I came here. I couldn't find Kirim or Chorus anywhere, and there are hardly any grunts guarding the vessel. I think they know I snuck aboard, and they're letting me roam about freely. They're either confident that I'll never be able to reach Kirim, or that they can lure me in and defeat me. Suddenly a door opens. Blake peeks in, saying, Secret door. No, an elevator. Looks like they're confident they can defeat me. He turns to Whitley, saying, Whitley, would you mind lending me a hand here? They both enter into the elevator, and as they make their way down and the doors open, we see two mandibuzz, a sock and a throw. But Fungus pops out, unleashing a bevy of spores that knock them all unconscious. Blake claps, saying, Very impressive, Fungi. But some grunts a ways away says, Send in more reinforcements. Blake says, It'll take forever if we put each one of them to sleep individually. This will be a bit more violent, but he brings out Genesect, raising both him and Whitley up. He grabs Whitley's hands and puts them on his waist, saying, Whitley, hold on to me tightly so you don't fall off. Let's go. And he has Genesect ram through the horde of Team Plasma grunts and their Pokemon. Oh man, there's a lot of them too. He's just speedrunning them. Blake says, there it is, Kirim. And he spots Kirim in a container. A Mandibuzz approaches, and another one from another side. But Blake has Genesect dive down into a corridor, so the two Mandibuzz run into each other. In the corridor, the grunts have their Pokemon, several Scraggy, Sock, Throw, Garbodor, all jump in. The grunts say, now, beat the living daylights out of them. But suddenly, there's a horde of smacking sounds coming from the little hole that Blake dived into. The grunts laugh, but then they realize something's not right, and they see nothing but Keldeo riding on the back of Genesect. Oh, with Whitley and Blake underneath, being protected. Blake says, nice to see you've calmed down, Keldon. Whitley is shocked to see Keldeo, saying, the Pokemon from before. Blake stands up, saying they're hesitant to attack us. Come on, Genesect, let's break through their defenses. Genesect transforms into its... I actually don't know what its other forms are called. Well, out of its high-speed configuration into its regular form. Okay, I guess that's it. Ready to fight. Blake tells Genesect to use Techno Blast, and it fires his cannon, blasting through the horde of plasma members and through several parts of the ship. My god. But Genesect then slumps to the ground. Blake examines its back, saying the drive is burned up. I guess the burden was too great. Whitley questions, is this a Pokemon? Blake explains, it's an ancient bug-type Pokemon that Team Plasma's science team revived from a fossil enhanced with iron armor and a cannon. He recalls Genesect, saying, I'm sorry, Genesect. He tells Keldeo to be sure to sever all the pipes and cables connected to the device. Keldeo gives a nod, and Blake says, Keldon, can you do the honors? As Blake and Whitley ride on the back of Keldeo, Blake says, if we can cut off the energy supply from Kirim, We can shut down this ship and its freeze cannon. As Keldeo slices through the device, Blake is shocked, saying, "What? Kyurem isn't in there." Oh, as we see Kyurem looming overhead, Keldeo notices and pushes Blake out of the way as it's frozen solid by Kyurem. Blake calls out to Keldon as Kyurem lands on the ground. A voice calls out, "What a mess you've made." Chorus comes from out of the shadows, saying, "This is just a device to absorb Kyurem's power. We've absorbed more than enough, so I don't care if you destroy it now. We've already stored enough energy to power the plasma frigate and freeze the entire Unova region." Blake angrily says Chorus's name as he grips the Genesect Pokeball. Chorus says, "Are you planning to call out Genesect again? Are you sure about that? I can see that Pokeball is filled up with smoke." Oh jeez, still overheating even now. Blake eyes the Pokeball as Chorus says, "If you make Genesis use Technoblast in that state, it might explode." Hearing that, Whitley is shocked and grabs Blake's hand, shaking her head. Chorus says, "Doesn't matter to me though, do as you wish." But Blake doesn't move. Chorus turns away, waving, saying, "I have other things to attend to. I'll thank you not to get in my way henceforth. Oh, one more thing. Kyurem, take care of them, would you?" he says, pressing the button on his Chorus machine. Oh, and Kyurem flash freezes Blake and Whitley. "Oh, that's not good." Chorus tells some grunts, "Go ahead and toss them into the sea." Jeez, what's with all the protagonists getting friggin' frozen in something? This happens every time. Grunts say, "Yes, sir," as Chorus teleports out. And the grunts do just that. They have a sock and throw, take the frozen figures of Blake, Whitley, and Keldeo, but something drops out. I don't know what it is though. And they toss them right into the sea. Jeez. Chorus, now back at the control, says, Now the next city to freeze is..." Zinzalin questions, "What have you done?" Chorus says, "You finally awoken, Zinzalin. Just musing about how you managed to find and capture Kyurem despite being such a fool, and wondering why Kyurem decided to appear before you. Either you didn't notice or you intentionally neglected to tell me. I believe it's the former though. And the answer is simple. Kyurem's desire is absolute fusion. Absofusion. So it responded to the energy released by Zekrom when it awoke, which means the opposite is possible too. Zekrom and Reshiram disappeared 2 years ago, but they might respond to Kyurem's power as well. As a matter of fact, they may already have appeared." And we see, flying over the ocean, the light orb being followed by N and Zekrom. And in the light orb, we see the figure of Black. To be continued. Yeah, needless to say, despite me actually liking when I met Chorus back in Sun and Moon, Chorus just needs to just go to jail. Like, screw this guy. Like, nothing here feels like he's being Ghetsis' puppet. This is all premeditated, baby. Dude needs to go straight to jail. That's the one thing I actually like about Blake, that he gets the job done. Usually he does. And Whitley finding out more and more that Team Plasma, a lot more of it was just not a good group. I like that they really did flesh out that, there are several Team Plasma members who were breeders and groomers and nurses and daycare attendants who just cared about Pokemon and wanted to help those that were being mistreated. But there was another part of Team Plasma who just wanted power. And that's always going to be the case with any organization. So I guess Rude and Gorm were actually against the whole of the rest of Team Plasma. Interesting. See, I wasn't really sure for a while there. Though honestly speaking, I'm surprised. Oh no, it's really hard to tell. It seems like some of the 7 Sages were working with Chorus, and then others weren't. But I guess that is actually more logical. Why would they all just collectively agree, you know? And man, that moment with Hugh and Whitley was intense. And I thought Hugh was going to do something really drastic for a moment there, and for the most part he did, but when it came to Whitley, he had his eyes on the prize. I like that he's appearing a little bit more. He feels more ominous now. And the way he's drawn here, it's actually really cool. I like it. I hope we see more of the suit underneath the cloak and stuff. And Zinzalin just can't catch a break though. He is everyone's punching bag, and it doesn't help that he looks like a punching bag. And man, when the plasma frigates froze the city, I think I remember some of that from like other things I've seen in animation and stuff. But man, that's brutal. Those people, jeez. And man, that moment where Whitley had to just really take in the fact that Blake had just been using her this entire time. You can almost see the moment where she felt stupid for actually genuinely starting to like him. Just feels icky. That's the thing. I think that's the thing that really sours me on Blake. It all feels so icky, you know? Like, I get it it's part of the job, but when it came to Spy Family, they managed to not make it so it didn't feel so gross with what Lloyd was doing. But here, it just feels and when you make me feel like the good guy is just as discomforting as any of the bad guys, yeah, I think you might have gone down the wrong path with this one. But Kieran feels menacing. Maybe the display of its power has just come from the frigate and not Kieran itself. So I'm interested to see it really show its stuff. I do wonder how Blake, Whitley, and Keldo get out of their situation. Like, I mean, they'll eventually thaw in the seawater, right? But then again, they might be too far down to be okay when that happens. Also, is N just following the Lightstone? Has he been doing that this entire time, or is it just recently? Where's the Lightstone going? Is it responding to Kieran? Guess we'll just have to wait and see. A good few chapters, I gotta say. Really kept my attention going, because we were just boom, 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 next plot point, plot point, plot point, plot point. Good read. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy the ride. I kind of want to ask, like, how do you feel about Blake? What was the moment you kind of realized that you really didn't like the character? Maybe that's too much to ask. What makes you like the character if you do like them? So I'll ask both sides. Why do you like Blake? Or what was the point where you actually kind of realized you didn't like Blake so much? Because he's not a bad person. It's just, he feels icky. I need Blake and White in their wholesome relationship. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.